And I'm so happy to have with me today Dolores Cannon, who's one of the pioneers in the transformation of this planet. Her work for the last 45 years, her publishing company, Ozark Publishing, the books that she has written, 17 plus and counting, has given people a new way of looking at their lives and contributed to the transformation of the planet. I'm so happy you're here today.
And I guess that what you think, to me, I'm just doing my work and I don't see the results.
You don't see the results of your work yet? No.
I'm just doing my job, and then other people say it's affecting the world. So as long as it's in a positive way, that's the main thing.
Your job, as you said to me, is to be a recorder of what? Lost history?
Well, I consider myself the reporter, the investigator, the researcher of lost knowledge. Because what I'm writing about now in the Convoluted Universe series is knowledge that has never been known, been lost, or it's been distorted over time. So that's what I'm getting back.
You put people into a trance and you access their higher mind to bring out this knowledge.
Yes, the higher self.
So what do you mean by the Convoluted Universe? Can you just define that title?
It was just a name that came up to me because the concepts that were coming out were concepts I'd never heard before.
Like? Oh, for instance.
Okay. Concepts and theories that were totally different, so I figured convoluted would be the best way. Because there are things humans have not thought about. Well, you may go into parallel universes, parallel lifetimes. We have many other theories that are way beyond what we've ever thought about.
Well, this show is called New Realities. Let's just throw something out that people never heard of, just so they can chew on it.
Okay. Every time you make a decision, the energy goes into both possibilities. Everything is probabilities and possibilities. Everyone in their life comes into crossroads, as I call them, where you can go one way or the other way. And you put energy into this other decision. Maybe it's, should I get married? Should I get a divorce? Should I change jobs? You have possibilities. So you put the energy into one or the other. Okay, you make a decision, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. What happens to the energy you have put into the other decision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always wondered about that because I'm always split in my mind because I'm almost doing both at the same time.
But what happens to the other decision? You put a lot of energy into focusing on it.
Right. So what happens?
That becomes a reality also.
That's what I've always thought, and no one ever said that because I feel as if I'm living that reality as well.
Well, you're not supposed to know that, though.
Oh, okay.
But when it splits off, another you is living the other reality. Mm. But it's not that simple. Mm-hmm. That's a simple explanation. Because it means every time you make any decision, even a small one, it splits off again and again.
Like, should I say this or as opposed to that? It's like every minute.
Everything. So it splits again and again until finally you have thousands of you out there living in different realities and different lives. And I've had some clients that know they are living in another life, in another state or something. But we're not supposed to focus on that because it'd be too confusing.
But you know what I think happens sometimes is sometimes we loop around. So we've gone this road and we also taken this road. But then at one point, the loop hooks up with the main road and boom, there's a kind of coherence of all those levels coming together, all those decisions.
It's a possibility, but most of the time when you make a decision, you go off in this other direction. Mm-hmm. And it's totally different from the way you would. You know your life would have been totally different if you had chosen the other decision.
That's why decisions are so difficult for me. So how do we know what decision to make?
That's up to you. Mm-hmm. But that's just one of the things we've come up with is parallel universes, parallel realities.
So this reality that we're living in right now is a decision. Why? But this seems so much more real than the possible hypothetical realities that are also happening.
Because you're focused on this one.
Right.
You're supposed to focus on this life. Otherwise, it'd be way too confusing. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to think about these other possibilities.
Those other possibilities are just as real as this one in those parallel dimensions.
But it's too confusing for us to think about that. So we focus on what's happening right now. In another dimension, I never got into any of this. So
You're a stay-at-home mom in the other
I always say, I wish her luck wherever she is. But that's what I mean. Your life can change, but which path you go down.
But can you jump timelines? This is what people are now talking about. So you've had this life and maybe certain things have happened and maybe some of that wasn't happening or maybe it was. But can you jump to these higher dimensions with the consciousness we have now? So as if it looks like things are not continuous, but in some level they are.
They're always continuous.
Right. But if we jump, it may not seem that way to someone else observing.
Why would you jump?
Well, if we're not happy with the decision we've made,
you can change your life.
Right. Okay.
You change your life.
And how would you do that with your work?
Because that's what I tell people. You don't know the power of your own mind. I think you're wording it a different way.
Okay.
But if you're not happy with your life, change it.
And how would someone do that?
Focus on what you really want. Because you can have anything. There are no limitations. The only limitations are what you put upon yourself. So if you decide you want to do something, first you have to know what you want. That's the hard part. People say, I want change, I want something different, but they don't know what they really want. You can't create it until you know what you want.
Right.
Once you know what you want, you can have anything. It's a law of the universe. You go with the laws of the universe. And it's very, very easy to do it once you get how it works.
So we don't know the power of our own mind.
You don't.
And the focused awareness we have in creating reality. And if we did, the whole planet would change.
It would, and that's what this is all about.
Right.
Because in my books they say, you don't know the power of your individual mind. You can focus on peace and harmony, and we could have that.
There are people focusing on peace and harmony,
yes.
And maybe it is making a difference.
Because there are nexus points. At the nexus points are events that must happen.
Oh, as opposed to choices that could or could not happen.
There are some events that have to happen in history. After that, it breaks off into branches of all the probabilities and possibilities that could happen from that result.
Well, yeah.
These branches are from the worst result to the least. So if you know the path you're going down is going to result in something bad, you choose one of the other paths to go down, and you have that ability to change which one you're going to go with. But this is why you can focus on peace and harmony for the planet. But if one man's mind is that powerful to change the future, imagine the power of group mind. If you get groups of people focusing on peace and harmony, you can create miracles, because the power of group mind is not only multiplied, it's squared. The power is tremendous. People don't realize the power they have with their own mind.
Well, a lot of people now are coming together to meditate together, to focus, to do flash mob demonstrations, which is where people come together. And
this has been going on for 20, 30 years.
But now people are more aware of it.
They're more aware of it because I've been talking about this for 30 years.
Let's talk about those nexus points. Now, what events in history had to happen? And you're also talking about nexus points in people's own personal lives.
Yes, there are.
But in history...
In history, I've written books on this. Right. For instance, the atomic bomb was at one of these. And in one of those other realities, we ended up destroying the universe. Because, you know...
The universe?
The planet, I guess you would say. Be more... Okay. Because when I did a book on this, on Hiroshima. And because when the scientists invented the atomic bomb, they didn't know what they were playing around with. They could have ignited all of the hydrogen atoms in the atmosphere, and we could have blown the planet up. But they said, well, we're just going to find out what happens.
Well, we had some divine intervention with that.
We did.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nexus points. We could have blown up the planet.
Would you say JFK, the assassination of JFK, these points that stand out in history that change world history, or is it more subtle than that? I mean, sometimes.
Well, for instance, they said one of the nexus points was the Bay of Pigs, which took place during Kennedy. And that could have turned into World War III on one of the probabilities.
Yeah, it was so close. And because we had some divine intervention in that level, it didn't happen.
No, but see, that shows you how easy it is to shift. This is why you can create your own reality once you know what you want. This is the path I'm going to go down. And you can do it with your mind. You have great power with your mind.
Right. And this is what people can do every moment, every morning in your life. You can set an intention of what's your highest potential.
What you want.
Right.
Once you figure out what you want, I just throw it out to them. Hey, guys, this is the next project. Then I sit back and watch the magic.
And it is magic. The power of our minds to create the reality is...
But remember, when you're going to create something, you must see it in your mind. It has to be a reality. If you can see it, it must happen. That's the law of the universe. So you see what it is you want to accomplish in detail. Then it becomes a reality. And then don't worry about how it's going to happen. Because if you say, I got to do this and this and this to obtain that, you are limiting the universe.
Right.
Is that the only way it can happen? But if you just say, this is what I want, you focus on the end result. And when you do that, it has to happen as a law. It'll happen in ways that you would never, ever have imagined.
And you have to be open to that. If you say, no, I want to have it this way, then you're interfering with it.
You are limiting
Right.
the universe.
Right.
Because it'll happen in ways that you would never have thought of, ways you couldn't have imagined. And this happens all the time in my life. That's why I said sit back and watch the magic, because they take over and they make it happen.
Your life has been sort of magical, hasn't it?
Well, it's been a long journey.
But you've done some great things. I mean, when you started out, no one believed you. You said you took 8 years to publish your first book.
9 books, 9 years for the first book.
And then...
Because publishers were way ahead of my time. They didn't understand past lives, didn't understand reincarnation. So it took a long time.
And now the world's caught up with you. And now you're doing some films. People are making movies. And but the big thing I think that's happening now is what you're seeing for the future as far as what's called the ascension of the Earth. So let's talk a little bit about this. As the frequencies of the planet change, our bodies changing, what do you see happening? Or you even mentioned, as you mentioned in this book, the
New Earth.
The New Earth and the 3 waves of volunteers for the New Earth. So talk about this.
Because the planet itself, Earth, is a living being. And it is getting ready to go into its next incarnation. Not getting ready, it's already in the process now.
Does that mean life on Earth is changing when you say its next incarnation? It's in a progression?
Well, I'm talking about the Earth itself is moving into another dimension, another frequency, another vibration. And it is going into another incarnation. And if we want to go with it, we have to change our vibrations and frequencies to match it.
Right.
Otherwise, we can't go. And frankly, it doesn't care if we go or not, because we're like fleas on a dog.
So we need to... this is Earth. We're walking around inside a piece of Earth. We need to change the frequencies of these bodies by our thoughts.
Yes.
And so... what do you recommend to people as far as moving with that frequency?
Well, it's such a natural thing. You don't have to do anything.
But you just say get over fear. Let go of fear.
Yes, the one thing is fear is only present in this reality here. It doesn't exist in other planets and the rest of the universe. It's a man-made thing. It's a man-made illusion. So if you're trapped in fear, this will hold you to the old Earth, to the negativity. You have to get over fear. Start thinking for yourself. And also you have to forgive. You have to get rid of karma if you're going to move into the
forgive everything, your government, your parents, your religion.
Everything.
And then you're sort of clear and pure inside.
And then you will move on because, like I said, nothing is impossible.
So will we then join a galactic civilization? Will the ETs become more in the open in the New Earth?
They want us to be a part of the galactic civilization because they figure we will be a great asset. But this is not going to happen anytime soon.
It's
They're
not?
still watching us to see how we're going to develop. They are afraid of us,
Yeah, right.
our
Because
violence, until they have to see what the children are going to do.
so how long will this transition take? We're in it now, and then you think 20 years, 100 years, 200 years?
You can't put a time on it.
Will it be something?
They said it will be in our lifetime.
Well, there you go.
Mhm.
And so open contact with ETs will then be a reality because we won't use their technologies to create war because...
Well, remember, it goes against the law of non-interference.
Right.
We'd have to get to the point that contact with them would not change anything in our lives and our government, because we are the grand experiment.
Right. Talk about that. The Earth, you said, is being watched by the whole universe because the planet has never made this leap.
It's the first time in the history of the universe that an entire planet has moved into another dimension. So they're all watching us to see, are we going to be able to do it? Are we going to be able to pull it off?
I get chills when you say that because it feels like it might be true.
So it is true.
So no planet with its population has ever...
We're a little bitty planet.
Right, but why is that happening here for us? What is it about...
We are the grand experiment.
Among the consciousness of the universe.
We are isolated over here in this part of the solar system for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want us to contaminate the rest of the universe. Our violence, our backwardness. So that's why we're isolated on purpose. But we are coming to the point that now we're going to be evolving, and that's why they're watching to see if we can do it.
I think we can.
I know we can, because everywhere I go in the world, people say they're feeling it. They know things are changing. They feel different. They feel happier. They feel things around them are different.
I think there is a sensitivity that's opening up with people just to feel energy. And what that creates, and what I call the program New Realities, is it creates a new way of thinking. Can you talk a little bit about how you see this new way of perception, awareness, consciousness? And maybe just for you, because you see a big picture.
Oh, I see what's happening all over the world.
And on other levels, too.
Yeah. But you got to remember, the old Earth is where the negativity is left, all the violence, the things that are happening now. And there are some people that won't go to the new Earth because they are still trapped in that negativity. They don't want to change. But people say, well, what do you mean? I'm not in the new Earth, because you are moving into it now. I can see these things happening over there. I see the wars. I see the disasters that happen. It's not happening. But I tell them, is that happening to you?
Right.
Is it happening in your world? Mm-hmm. It's not. You can observe it.
And that's also the fear is also trying to bring people to keep them at a lower level. I mean, keep them in the old Earth.
Anytime you could make that your world by focusing on it and shifting your focus to that. But it's not really your world. And as the two begin to pull further and further apart, now they're overlaid on top of each other so you can still see it. As it pulls further apart, you won't even realize it's happening.
I think you're talking about love. I mean, it feels like, this...
They said love is the only thing that's real. Everything else is an illusion.
Because when there is this feeling of love, there can't be war or violence.
That's the idea, and we're moving into that. See, that's the only thing that Jesus came to teach, was how you could love and how you could use this to change the world. Well, they didn't understand it, and they killed it.
Right, and there was still love. But I think that's the problem people have about ETs. They think they lack love, and yours...
Oh, they do.
They do lack.
They do have love.
They do have love.
They have emotions. People just don't understand them.
So as we rise to this new vibration and we emanate the level of love, it's how we think about ourselves will change. Do you know what I mean? We open up to much more complexity of thought in a way.
Yeah, one way to put it.
I mean, so what are some of the other things that are coming through to you that you're in your research about things that haven't been written about this development of mind, in the convoluted universe.
There's so much in the convoluted universe. It's 4 books.
I know, and because I think that's important.
Well, they're always saying that you have to realize the power of your mind and the power you have to control your whole life. These are some of the important changes. And it can only be done through understanding other people. Like I said earlier, you have to forgive all those in your life.
Right. So your work has been as a global teacher in this way.
Well, I'm a therapist.
Right.
And I work with people's problems. But I began to teach my process all over the world because it has so much to do with helping people with health problems, especially. And so I'm teaching it in every country in the world.
Do you want to just outline a little bit of that process? Like if you were working with me, what would you don't have to do a whole session, but what would you do?
You couldn't do a whole session.
No, what would you do?
Okay, somebody comes to me with a problem.
Yes.
And whether it's physical, if they have something physically wrong with them, then it'll be healed immediately, instantly in one session. But I've learned by what part of the body you're having the problem in, we know immediately what's going on in your life. You become transparent, and I can see everything that's going on just by the symptoms of your illness.
Even before you go into a hypnotic session?
Oh, yeah, I know immediately. I do an interview for a couple of hours with a person to find out all about their life. I got to know them. You don't just go and have a session. You got to know something about that person. Otherwise, you won't know what's important. So I have to find out about it. But part of it is physical symptoms. Find out what part of the body they're having physical symptoms in. It's so clear what's happening in their life. They're amazed.
So then you put them in a hypnotic, an altered state.
But sometimes they come for family problems or for job problems, all kinds of problems, and we work with anything. I put them into trance, and I work in the deepest possible trance. It's called the somnambulistic level. At that point, that level, they don't remember what has happened. They can't interfere because the conscious mind is pushed out of the picture.
Okay.
And then we usually take them back to a past life because sometimes your answers will be found in another lifetime. But if not, it doesn't matter because this power that I work with will still give them all the answers they need.
So they tap into what's called a superconscious level or higher self. You bring them to that state of awareness.
And then we're able to take them to the past life. And then I work after that with this great force. It's the greatest force in the universe.
That's in them.
It's in everybody.
Right. Well, I don't think people realize it. So you're accessing through this deep level of hypnosis their over mind, their
over soul, the higher self.
Okay.
The higher consciousness. It's everybody the same. They know everything about you. There are no secrets. And they know everything about everybody.
About everything.
And so we just come out with what is the most appropriate for that person to know.
And then you also ask that part of that person about ETs, let's say. How does that
come? If that is what they've come for.
Oh, I see. But they might not know it's what they come for, right?
Well, if they come for that, that's what we focus on.
But if they don't know that, will it still come out?
No, it may or may not.
Okay.
But I'm helping the person with their problem. If they're having problems with what they call abductions or ET experiences, then that's the way we'll go. Mine is acting up.
Yeah.
See, when we do this, they come in, their energy messes a lot with electronics.
Right.
They think it's fun.
Why are they coming in now?
Oh, they're here. They've been here since the beginning.
And why? They just want to check it out?
Oh, they're always with me.
Okay.
And they love to play with electronics.
Who's with you?
Yeah.
Who? Them being...
This power that I work with.
But that's in all of us.
Yes.
So...
But they love to play with electronics. They love to do tricks.
But
in my classes, they do things that are absolutely impossible.
But getting back...
It's the buildup of energy.
Oh, so we've been building up a lot of energy.
We have been building up energy, so I'm not surprised it's affecting...
How can we use that buildup of energy?
You use it for what you want to create.
So when you're working with clients and that force comes in, that's able to heal their whole body and their lives.
That's what I work with. And all of you have access to it. because no one should ever be sick.
We weren't here to be sick.
No. The human body is a miraculous machine that's been created to take care of itself and heal itself if we don't interfere.
Our mind interferes, though.
The person makes themselves sick. And people will say, what do you mean I don't want to be sick? But if the mind is that powerful to make yourself sick, it's also powerful enough to heal you. We just find out, why did you do this to yourself?
Is there anything you can tell people about how not to be sick or how to heal? I mean, what do they need?
You need to find out, why did I do this to myself?
Why emotionally?
Well, they did it to themselves.
Yeah, right. And what did they learn from this?
You will have subtle, because any illness is the body talking to itself to give you a message. And we don't listen to those messages. It'll begin subtle, little aches and pains here in the body. Don't pay attention to it. It'll get a little more and a little more. Pain is a good way to get your attention. And if you still don't pay attention, it's going to develop into a disease or something serious where you got to go to the hospital.
So then how do we...
And I have to get them before they get to that point.
But everyone can work with their own awareness in a way. How would they do that? By looking at like the little aches and pains.
Well, we always tell people to just talk to your body. Your body loves for you to talk to it. And ask it, okay, what are you trying to tell me?
Oh, and it will answer you.
Oh, yes.
Very clearly. You're right.
What are you trying to tell me, and what do you want to know?
Excellent.
And work with it.
So even if, that is great.
The body loves for you to talk with it. See, within your body, you have a universe, an entire universe. All the cells and the organs. They're all going about their own thing. But if you begin to talk to it, tell everybody how much you love it.
Yeah.
I love you, heart. I love you, liver. Tell it how much you love it. It loves that because somebody's paying attention to it. And when you speak to your own body, you are the voice of God to that universe within you. And it will listen to you. So people can do it themselves.
So that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's obvious, but it needs to be said. So, with that level of what you just said and the new earth that's rising, I see a beautiful world that's unfolding.
Oh, yes.
Tell us what you see.
Well, I know it's there because it's time. The negative has been in the world for too long. We're moving away from it. We're moving into this beautiful new reality where anything is possible. You can have anything you want. We're leaving the negativity and the dark behind.
Because we've done it. We can't do it any better than we've done it. And now it's time. Dolores, thank you so much for your time today.
Okay.
I really appreciate your work. If you want to reach Dolores and her beautiful publishing company, ozarkmountainpublishing.com is one way to find her.
Also, you can DoloresCannon.com.
Dolores Cannon, and she travels the world talking about your reporting from the source, really.
But I give classes all over the world. And this is listed on the website. And I'm training people to do what I do because I have such a long waiting list, over 5 years. I have to take the load off of me. So I'm training people everywhere to do what I do. And they're having the same wonderful results.
And in the training, people are also coming to a broader view or a more compassionate way of being.
And I'm teaching it everywhere. And we have lists of the people I've trained on the website. Anyone in those areas, we have it listed by states and by countries. If they want to contact someone in their area who have taken my classes.
Thanks again.
Okay.
This is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. I'm very happy to have had this conversation with Dolores Cannon, one of the people really helping to usher in these new realities that we're now experiencing on all these subtle levels of being. If you want to reach me, go to my website, newrealities.com, or contact me at newrealities@earthlink.net. Thanks for watching.